To begin with my second work in progress video, I want to talk about my rationale, a modernization of a festival in my country, Vietnam. According to Saigoneer, today's Trung Thu Mid-Autumn Festival has become one of the most modernized traditions, with plastic lantern and mooncake vendors popping up on every corner. Start selling these specialty a month in advance. However, there was a time when this holiday was never complete without family gatherings, children's toys, and delicate handmade lanterns, few of which can be found on the streets of Saigon nowadays. Originally a celebration of harvest and fertility, and worshipping the moon under Chinese influence, the festival is a time to strengthen the bond between children and families. Toys of children would consist of delicate handmade lanterns made from cellophane paper or recycled things such as condensed milk cans. Lion dancing was once an indispensable form of entertainment during the festival, and it's lucky for me to still have a part of my childhood light up from lanterns without having to imagine. The sounds of drums, neighbors' children's laughter, and seeing the adults gather at the table enjoying hot tea and freshly baked mooncakes. These are the scenes going through my mind every time the festival happens in the present date. One would argue that the festival has never been better thanks to the convenience brought from technology. I still think it is both a blessing and a curse in this time of transition between tradition and modernity. The excitement I once had for it as a child, the crafty lanterns I used to make, the anticipation before cutting a mooncake, the thrill when seeing the lion dance, everything has now passed. How can I use AR to remind everyone of the good old days? How can I bring everyone back together using technology? These are my rationale for my studio project. After setting up my project rationale, I had consultations with my mentors, and a lot of interesting directions have emerged. The first idea is to design a physical lantern that can act as a device to play in AR. If back in the days you hold the lanterns, now you hold the lanterns that is connected to your phone. The phone itself will no longer be your main device, but the lantern as it is traditionally, with technology attached to it, will become the device to play this game. This direction answers the question, what if AR were designed to support traditions that I mentioned in the last work in progress video? In this case, AR is designed to work with a traditional lantern and to become one with the lantern, a unique AR lantern. This generates a question of why do physical game objects, such as lanterns, make a difference to gameplay? How does incorporating a traditional playable object in AR help interaction designers merge traditions and technology? The second idea is focus on the moon by playing with its geological position. The lantern can become the agent of the moon and interact with the users based on how far away it is, pointing from the real direction of the moon. It can generate light, let you speak to the moon, and become a device that lets you connect to the moon in a special and spiritual way. Imagine a moon watching exercise festival where every player is using augmented reality to talk to the moon. This idea is interesting in the way it connects a virtual augmentation back to the real world and shows respect to the moon as an irreplaceable factor in nature. This makes me question, how can 3D heritage in AR games remain authentic and respectful while being engaging to players? The third idea is to enhance how users can record a celebration in a festival instead of just capturing pictures and filming the activities. The phone will act as a source of light, and players can record movements or dances, leaving traces of light in the AR world. It can act as a shared experience of performing together, lantern dancing, and recording light animation. This idea generates a question of how AR can be integrated into a new personalized way of recording memories and enrich social interactions between multiple players. How social ritual concepts such as togetherness and performability can be integrated into AR through the presence of physical objects. The fourth idea is to use AR to light up the physical world. Each physical lantern will have a small LED candle attached inside it and can be controlled by AR. When playing together, it can become a multiplayer experience where everyone can participate and contribute into a bigger flame of light. This idea generates a question, how does using augmented physical objects enhance social interactions in a festive event? The fifth idea is to make an AR a meaningful shared experience by allowing users to share their augmentations such as virtual 3D objects and sound every time they interact with each other in the real world. Each player may acquire different augmented assets, and when playing together, it creates a sense of community and belonging, where everyone can have more rewards by just interact with each other. The more people who have touched the lantern, the brighter and more dynamic interaction can get. Sound can be a very playful agent, as multiple types of interaction sounds such as ding, dong, woof can be generated every time an interaction happens. This idea leads to an inquiry of how AR gamification can be applied in festive activities to create a meaningful and rewarding shared experience. The sixth idea is to create an AR experience as a set of activities that constitute a full experience of a festival celebration, which includes eating mooncakes, making lanterns, lion dancing, lighting up the stars, and at the end all lead up to a climax, which simply is just putting the phone away and watching the moon together with loved ones. This idea gives room for flexibility, as I can divide the whole experience into different level designs. Following their inspiring discussions, I have been doing a lot of sketches to generate a concept art thumbnail for my project. In my narrative, I am the player that uses this AR app, and all of a sudden, everything from distant childhood suddenly shines bright again. The moon tale my mom used to tell me, rabbits on the moon, mooncakes and tea, lion dance, and Mr. Earth, also known as the Earth God. I used to wonder about the distance between the Earth and the moon. This makes me question how can interaction designers reclaim the narrative of their culture through digitization and gamification. My first prototype for the project is a childhood lantern craft, the AR object recognition workflow in Unity. Using the ARKit scanner app, I followed the guidelines provided to complete a scan of a non-virtual object. If this method of tracking is to be used, the lantern should be more rigid so the surface doesn't deform, and use a non-reflective, non-transparent material, such as cardboard. Thanks to Carlo and Yun, I know about Wayfinder Live, a location-based augmented reality game in which players go across Melbourne's laneways, alleys, and public spaces to search for and scan urban codes hidden in these areas using their phone. The interview conducted afterwards has led to an exploration of players' relationship with the physical spaces of play, and tested out claims about location-based gaming's capacity to facilitate a deeper embodied interaction with public spaces and their inhabitants. This work is an excellent example of practice-based research that focuses on outcomes and the understanding of outcomes, in which players of the games were interviewed and invited to reflect on their experience. The artwork has also inspired me to use fiducial markers from my AR experience to merge real and virtual objects. One of the motivations listed in the principles of the game is to stay off the phone, which is inspiring and relevant to my practice motivation. I made a few 3D models, including the mooncake with a centered egg. It can be something for a player to collect. The rabbit model was tricky because I want to make a jump with very dramatic forces. Clouds animated by wind forces, simple rigged carp fish with tail animation, and a lotus slowly blooming. Graphic design, including picking typefaces, color palettes. The process of making has made a user flowchart much easier. The user flowchart is very ambitious, but it can be broken down into level design. The user starts the experience by attaching their phone to the lantern stick and enters an AR world. First activity is making the traditional lantern. In this level, player will encounter mythical creatures such as rabbits and carpfish in the scene, and once interact with the creature, it will become part of the lantern that the player can then carry with them. After this level comes the activity of eating the mooncake, where user can interact with a giant mooncake and draws a cross that touches the 4 points set up in AR space to achieve the task of cutting the cake. The user can collect the eggs and move on to the lion dance level, where players can become the lion themselves and generate sounds based on their movements in the AR space. It will also touch interesting findings related to the theme of user avatar in mixed reality. Another direction that could be scaled up further in the future could be playing with the coordination of multiple players when performing lion dance using the AR device. The next level allows players to use their stick to light up the stars on the trees. The tree can be AR when playing indoors or real trees when the game is set up outdoors. The light can either be lightened up in a virtual world or in a physical world, if the technical solution can be achieved. Lastly, the experience would encourage users to drop their phone down to watch the moon and provide some cute takeaways, such as specially designed AR filter, which includes all of the game rewards to capture and share the experience. That's the end of my work in progress video. Thank you for watching.